Welcome to Thyroid Refresh TV. I'm Danna Bowman.
And I'm Ginny Maher, and we are so happy to be here today with Leah Carver, author of Undoing Hashimoto's, a guide to managing symptoms, relieving overwhelm, and living well. Welcome, Leah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here with you.
So we wanted to talk to you a little bit first about your background and, you know, what do you do? What is your specialty? How did you come to write your book? And what is it that you specialize in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a educator in the spa industry for the last 20 years. I also had a yoga studio for 5 years and taught yoga and saw clients privately there at the yoga studio. So I've really come from this place of wellness and wellness from this holistic aspect. I was teaching yoga at the time that I got sick, that I got diagnosed in my yoga studio. And I found that I thought I was doing everything right. You know, I was quite healthy and I was working to teach people mindfulness practices and things like that. But what was really happening is that I was spending so much time taking care of everybody else and not enough time making sure that I was taking care of me. And so I would say that it was a long time coming. You know, what actually happened is I got a virus called CMV, which is similar to Epstein-Barr. And after getting that virus, autoimmune Hashimoto's just came out full force for me. So that was my trigger. But again, I would say it was probably as much stress as anything else, and something that I had been getting little tiny signals that I needed to pay much more attention to myself for quite a while, and was, you know, just going 110 miles an hour still. So I got a pretty hard knock.
And when was that?
That was about 3 years ago now. Yeah, so it was about 3 years ago. So my kids at the time were 9 and 5. And, you know, so being a mother of a 9 and a 5-year-old, you know, it was intense, and I was always trying to manage running a business, being a mother, being a wife, and doing everything that I thought was really important, and literally not taking great care of myself. So,
And so when you got diagnosed with Hashimoto's. Did you do the regular, you know, take your medicine and that kind of thing, or had you learned a little bit about it beforehand?
Well, you know, because I came from this really holistic background anyway, the first doctor I went to see was a functional medicine doctor. So I did do a lot through him, though. I mean, I had a PICC line put in, and I did high dose colloidal silver for 6 weeks. I did all these, you know, supplements and all kinds of things with him. I was taking a thyroid medication, and I worked with him pretty strongly for about 3 months, but I wasn't getting all the results that I wanted. And towards the end of working with him, I went on and found another doctor, but he handed me basically a prescription for steroids and said, here, take this prescription for steroids, that'll help you feel better. And thank goodness I knew everything that I knew, because I knew that yes, they would make me feel better, but more than likely within the next year, I would be still having to struggle with the symptoms on a bigger level. And so that was when I decided to, you know, I found an acupuncture physician that worked with me as a functional medicine doctor as well. And I had a homeopathic doctor that was a homeopathic MD. And both of them are still, you know, in my life in a big way, and there to support me all the time. But, and that really led me into doing a stricter diet and getting on the AIP protocol and doing all of those things, which was a wonderful part of the journey. And it was also incredibly hard, because what I found when my doctor handed me the AIP protocol and said, do this. And I said, okay, yeah, I can do this. And I did it for about 30 days, and then I failed pretty hard. And then I had lots of self-talk about how I had failed and all the things that I did wrong and how I wasn't good enough. And so I started again and then failed again. So there was a lot of this momentum, and then kind of falling down and getting back up and moving forward, that I had to work with. And honestly, for me, what started to shift everything was going back to myself and recognizing that I needed some things that I could be successful at. Like, I needed something that I could do that would make me feel better, that didn't feel like a lot of work and didn't feel like it took a lot of energy, because discipline takes energy. And if you're feeling sick or bad, it's very hard to be very disciplined. And so that's where I really just decided that I was going to take a bath every day. Even my meditation practice and my yoga practice felt hard at that point. It just felt like work. And so I had to really find this practice, this bath practice, that felt like it was easy. I could get in the bath, I could relax, I could feel like I was doing something that was nurturing and nourishing for me, but it also didn't feel hard, and it didn't feel like it took any energy whatsoever. And so that's when everything started to shift for me. And that became a very foundational practice for me. Every day, I still take a bath pretty much every single day.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love that. And you, with your background in the spa industry, did that really inform the way that you took these baths and made this not just a rote part of your day, but more of an actual healing ritual?
Exactly. Because of my background in the spa industry. So because I teach, postgraduate education, I teach hydrotherapy and aromatherapy and all of these therapies. But it was the first time for me that I really had to put it into a context of like, this is therapy. This is really important that you take this time to take care of yourself. Yeah.
And what are some of the specific things that you do when you bathe that, you feel, kind of take it to that next level of really being a healing ritual?
Or that you do to prepare for your bath? Are there some things that you do to prepare before you get in, or,
So there's a couple of questions there. Absolutely. So one of my big practices is that every single morning I will just spend, some days it's a minute and some days it's 5 minutes, checking in with my body, checking in with the physical body, with my mental body, with my emotional body, and my energy levels, my energetic body, so that I can see, or get a pretty clear picture on what I need. And what's amazing is that sometimes it's different. Like, we feel pretty good physically, but we'll feel a heaviness mentally, or we'll feel like, I just don't feel very creative today, or I don't feel very connected, or whatever it is. And so that became a really important practice, because when I had the information about, when I took the time to get the information from myself, from my body, to listen to what was going on, then I could really work with my bath in a therapeutic way to make it more what I need. So some of the ways that I can tweak my bath are, the ingredients that I put in. I use a lot of seaweeds and salts and essential oils, specific to who I am, to who I am constitutionally. So things like magnesium and calcium, seaweeds that are rich in those things really, really feed and nurture the nervous system. And so if you're feeling exhausted or you're feeling even like anxiety or anything like that, then to be able to give your body what it needs physically, you can actually feed your body through the skin, is such a great tool. It starts to really give you this feeling of empowerment, right? And then also to recognize where you are emotionally or energetically, because essential oils can really speak to that emotional part of you. The limbic system, which we access through inhalation of essential oils, is actually like one of the oldest parts of the brain, right? And it's this very reptilian kind of brain where it tends to be our reaction. And so, I don't know, you guys tell me, but when I feel off, when I feel dragging, my reactions are so much stronger. Like I'm so much more easily annoyed. I'm so much more, reactive with the people in my life and the people that I love. And so essential oils and aromatherapy become a really great way that I can ground myself emotionally. And so to be able to put all of these things, all of these components into a bath, it feels kind of like, you're mixing this elixir that you're then going to step into, that's going to speak to all these different levels of who you are, because we are these complex beings, So, and it feels easy. And that's the great part, because it doesn't take a lot of effort. So the only preparation is listening to your body, and then running the bath with these key ingredients that speak to what's going on. And then the additional thing would be what kind of water temperature I'm working with. So if I'm working with, again, like the nervous system, more of a neutral temperature bath actually helps to calm the nervous system and stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. Whereas, a high temperature bath, or I would always use cold contrast with that, and hot cold is a great way to create like flushing through the joints or through the, I am one of those people that gets joint pain. Like that's one of the symptoms of Hashis for me. And so using hot temperature with cold fusions on the joints is an incredible tool that I've really been able to use for myself, to create some movement of the stagnant areas, right?
So how do you do that then? You're in a hot bath, and how do you do the cold?
So I try to keep it as easy as possible. I literally just run the cold tap. Yeah. I mean, and there's different ways to get really more specific. So, you could do contrast baths as far as like having a hot, just doing a bath for your feet, or just doing a bath for your hands and having like a hot bowl of water and then an ice bowl of water, and going from the hot for about 5 minutes into the ice cold for 30 seconds, going back to the hot for 4 minutes, cold for about 45 seconds, hot for 3 minutes, cold for a minute. And just taking the time to do these things, because it is therapy. Because
one of my favorite parts about this aspect that you talk about, the baths and things, is that it's easy, and then it's kind of like fun, and then it's not this, you're not dreading it. So it feels like a positive, soothing, nurturing therapy. That's my favorite part about it, because it is something that you can do daily and easily, and you're not like, oh, I've got to put on, my tennis shoes and my jogging outfit and my bra and my this and my that, and I've got to go, exercise. It's just this easy kind of undoing, which is your, part of your title of your book, which I love.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is that for me, I don't like to waste time, because I feel like there isn't enough time in most days. It's like, oh my goodness, I've got so much to do, right? And so I want to show up for myself and support myself, but I want to make sure that what I'm doing is really effective. And so it doesn't feel like luxury or pampering. It feels incredibly relaxing and nurturing and loving. but it's not wasted. It's very it's very point specific. I'm doing something in undoing, right? I'm relaxing purposefully because I know that if I give myself this time, it will stimulate my creative energy, that it will help me show up more fully for the people in my life, that it will literally allow me to remember who I am. And so, one of the things that I like to share with people is in Ayurveda, they call the translation for autoimmune is actually it's like a forgetting. The cells forget what they're supposed to do. And so, not only it doesn't feel like just my cells forget what they're supposed to do. It feels like I forget my dreams. I forget my purpose because I'm just exhausted. I'm just trying to survive, right? And so I want to switch out of that survival place into a place where I am once again residing as the author of my own life. I'm capable of directing maybe in a different way than I used to, which was like to push hard and strong, right? And now it's more this intelligence, this wisdom that guides my actions. And it's a practice, and we do it. I do it daily, and I encourage, my clients to do it daily because we're different people every morning when we wake up, especially with this autoimmune. You wake up and some days you feel amazing and then you do too much. And other days you feel terrible and you don't feel like you can do anything. And so if we can learn to be in relationship with ourselves and really listen to what the body's telling us, instead of seeing this as a failure of the body, I actually see it as a guide. The body's speaking to us and it's getting our attention, and it's really trying to, help us remember who we are.
And we have an opportunity to listen. And I love that you incorporate so much of that tuning into yourself and listening to your body before you even decide what temperature is the bath going to be today? What am I going to put in it? What kind of seaweed or salt or oils or what have you am I going to put in there?
And one thing I might add to that, Jenny, as you were going through that list, is I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to do that and that and that. And then I'm thinking, based on how I'm feeling, maybe I'll have some different thoughts. Maybe I'll guide my thinking while I'm sitting in the bath based on whichever way I'm, my body's feeling at the moment, or how my emotional, body is, or my spiritual body is. I'm thinking now to myself, I'm going to add those certain few words, that'll enhance it. If I'm feeling like I need to be relaxed and I really need to nurture and love, then maybe I'll have those thoughts and feelings towards myself,
Yeah, power thoughts.
Thank you. Power thoughts. Yes.
It really is such a paradigm shift for people, and I think people it's so easy to feel overwhelmed by all the different tenets of the healing journey, whether it's the diet, the self-care, everyone's telling you got to meditate, you have to do this, you have to do that. And it really is like what we're saying when we resist that is like, you mean I have to make time for me? I have to make myself and my health a priority. And that can be very foreign to a lot of us. I know that was something I had to grow into. That took me time to be like, even giving up gluten was like, I don't want to inconvenience people, and I know you talked a little bit about diet, but it sounds like, the self-care for you has been such a connection for you, like even a stronger, like vibration for you in your healing journey. Would you say that that's true? Just that the self-care has almost been paramount for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, I recognize that it was what sustained me through making dietary changes, right? Because we are these emotional, energetic beings, and oftentimes, I see this not just with myself, so it means that there are all these other people going through this as well. I see that there's a lot of caffeine and sugar addiction that kind of happens within the autoimmune world, because we're using food and caffeine and stimulants and things like that to keep us going. And so often if we, just start throwing all of that out of the window without replacing it with anything that helps us sustain, it can be very overwhelming, and it can be very difficult. So the baths for me became the foundation, right? So there were days where it was like I'd want a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or something, and instead I would go have a bath. I'd be like, you know what, I'm going to go have a bath right now, because this is my signal that my energy is really low. So I need to do something that's going to help me increase my energy instead of reaching for food that has given me energy before. I'm going to reach for the bath, or I'm going to go reach for yoga nidra, which is the yoga of sleep. It's like a practice where you lay down on your back and relax, And so the more that I started to institute these practices, the more I recognized that instead of just, before that I would maybe go watch Netflix for like 2 hours, like I'm just going to zone out on TV. But I never felt any better after doing that. It just felt like, like time that I used to check out, but it didn't help me. It just was a checkout. Whereas when I started to recognize that I could actually, kind of decide what I was going to do with that time and feel better after, then it didn't feel like such a waste of time. It felt like, oh, this is actionable. This is me taking passive action in a way, but I'm taking action that starts to restore and fulfill my energy levels, so that I can do what I want to do. And I can, I talk to my clients all the time, and I actually encourage them to have their self-care practices as part of their workday if they can, because we are our most important commodity. My business is built around me. It's like, I can do advertising and I can do PR and I can do all of these things. But if I don't have the capacity to show up and help people, then there's nothing to sell. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no business, there's no structure. And with my kids, if I'm mommy that's exhausted and doesn't, wants to go close her bedroom door and watch Netflix, as opposed to mommy that says, hey, I need a timeout. I'm going to go lay down and do yoga nidra for 30 minutes. And I can pretty much guarantee after those 30 minutes of yoga nidra, I'm going to be back on point. I'm going to be able to show up for them in a greater way. Then I'm actually empowered in my life to take action that supports me. Because it doesn't just support me, it supports everything. It supports my dreams, it supports my passion, it supports my clients, it supports my family. It's like I've had to learn to put me first, not because
it supports your health, ultimately.
Yeah.
It's your health, and the whole point that's my favorite in all of this is that it's such a lifestyle important factor here, because you don't want to check out and just zone out. It's like this calming way to check in. And exactly. I love that. I love it. I think it's so right on point with Thyroid Refresh and our lifestyle mission. And when it looks like we probably got to go. So we appreciate so much your time and you taking a few minutes to talk to everybody today on Thyroid Refresh TV. Thank you so much, Leah Carver.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leah.
Hey guys, Danna and Ginny here. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to click like and subscribe.
And we have a great free resource for you below. Just click the link. Thanks for watching.